Hey, hey, hey.
Dang,
How's it going?
it's good.
All
As you can see,
right.
I'm still at work.
Absolutely.
Should I? Let me see if you got better lighting. Yeah.
Yeah, you good. We'll see if we can get Greg in here.
Hey, fam. What's up?
All right. All right. Let's see if we can
Hey, small
get it.
cakes.
What's up? What's up?
What's
There we
up,
go.
Craig?
How we doing?
Hey.
Getting live from the shop after hours.
Yeah, I'm catching up on some sneakers, but reception isn't good at my place. What's
Gotcha,
up,
gotcha.
24? 23, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So, how did the birthday weekend go? Happy belated birthday to
Thank
us both.
you. It was good, actually. I chilled and then went bike riding, You know how we do the nighttime bike ride, never gets old. Um,
Oh,
around
gotcha.
around DC. So it was we had a good time.
Good, good.
All
So,
righty. Well, we'll go ahead and get things started. Um, Welcome to the premiere episode of State Specific, where we will weave across the country and the world to highlight local sneaker cultures specific to those geographic areas. Many things may be the same, but we will find the nuanced differences that are unique and special.
all right, cool, cool. So, I'm going to kick it off and I'm going to introduce Nicole. Bear with me. I wrote this,
Oh,
so I'm ripping it off.
I'm feeling special.
Hopefully, I caught all the details. So, all right, our first guest is someone we both are fortunate enough to know personally off IG. So, she's not only our first guest, but a close personal friend. On Instagram, we know her as Rican Power Girl. She is the co-owner of Footage Society Resale Cleaning and Restoration Shop. She is also the founder and owner of Soul Wash Sneaker Laundry Store. She has collaborated events with the Washington Mystics and Atmos DC. If it's happening in DC, you are bound to run into her. Please, everybody, welcome Nicole.
Welcome.
Good
Absolutely.
job. Good you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually honored to be the first guest on this new show. Wishing you all so much luck and success, and hopefully, open the world up to more about the sneaker culture in general. So yeah, thank.
Absolutely. We figured with your resume, we were like, we got enough to talk about, so here we go. We can try it out and see how it goes.
I see a lot of faces. I rarely go live, so but I'm
That's
doing
it.
it with you guys.
Perfect.
This
Thank
isn't
you
your
so
first
much.
time live, though, right?
No, no, I've been live
Okay,
before.
okay.
I go
I was
off.
gonna say. So, all right. So we are gonna kick it off with a couple layup questions, just to get to know you more. So the first question is, what was your first memory of relating to sneakers or culture itself?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that again?
What was your first memory of relating sneakers to style and culture?
Ooh, I would say, geez, I would say like back in the '90s when I used to wear my Reebok Classics, and my girlfriends
Okay.
will also buy them, so we will buy like different colors so that we could switch them. So like I'll have a red one or a blue one or a white like that, and then we'll switch off with the scrunchy socks.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
as far as I think I could go. That was actually related with fashion as well.
Nice. Yeah, those
Nice.
are good days. Those are good days.
I still have a few. I don't rock them as often, but I think one of the favorite ones that I have is the Ghostbuster joints.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Nice. Nice. Well, and it actually, especially during those times, it made it fun, right? Like you could collaborate, like you said, with your friends, and it seemed like a ton of choices, even though there were not as many choices as there are today, but it seemed like a ton of choices. So that time frame in the sneaker culture was actually almost perfect. Um, So speaking of sneakers and kind of what we have, like, do you consider yourself a sneaker collector, or do you buy the shoes and use them, wear them, and then maybe purge your collection or your the amount of sneakers that you have to make room for new sneakers?
I only got rid of. So before I just love sneakers, right? And then I want to say maybe once my son became a teenager, then that kind of revived the whole sneaker culture. Once I started not sneaker, but like the sneakers and collecting them, and I was just like, dang, I trashed so many sneakers in the past that I could have still had. So I would say maybe about 10 years ago, I began to collect sneakers. But I don't purge my sneakers. I do have a cleaning business, so I clean or I try to, Greg, don't with my DBs.
I ain't saying nothing.
I try to restore them, but I don't purge my sneakers. There's only probably 2 sneakers that I probably sold, and I would still regret it now.
Okay.
But I keep my sneakers, even if they crumbled. Sometimes I buy sneakers that don't actually fit me just to have in my collection.
Okay.
Yeah, I pretty much collect.
Nice.
There we go. Then do your kicks drive the outfit, or does the outfit drive the kicks?
Oh,
Or a little bit of both? We'll let you hit middle ground.
it depends. Like it depends on the event.
Yeah.
Like if like when I like either the Mystics, when I work with them, or when we went on to the Wizards game and we was on the floor, then for certain pictures I might go with the sneaker and let that lead. Now that I wear so many sneakers, and because before I didn't wear sneakers as often because I worked in the federal, industry.
Yeah.
But now every day I'm wearing sneakers, so I kind of just go with the outfit on a daily basis. If it's an event, then I will let the sneakers drive. Or sometimes if I see that I haven't put the sneakers in rotation for a while, and I want to, get them out, then I'll lead that way.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
So kind of speaking of that, is it driven by a specific brand, or are you kind of across the board and it's just basically, what kind of tickles your fancy?
Unfortunately, well, I'm not going to say unfortunately, Nike, pretty much.
Nike, yeah.
Nike, I have maybe like 10 Reeboks. I have some Patrick Ewing in there, a little bit of New Balance, which, now I'm starting to see it. Asics, I don't really rock that much. I'm not big on like that kind of shoes. And so I think that it's also what drives it. And then also I'm a high top chick. Like mostly I'm wearing high tops.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just starting to flirt with other brands, especially different collaborations that are going on. It kind of sells the shoe for me with the story and the collabs, but I haven't ventured too far out really from J's, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So what are some of your favorite silhouettes too?
Outside of Nike?
Really, Jordan or yeah. I need you said high tops, but yeah, I guess more on that.
Yeah. So you're into like ones, or like
I'm sorry?
are you into ones or 11s? Like what's your favorite
Okay.
one? Yeah.
I have more ones than anything.
Okay.
That's kind of been more recent. I do have a lot of like SBs as well, which the lows. So that has also taken on. But as far as the high tops outside of Nike, I'm trying to think like maybe my Patrick Ewings. I can't think off the top of my head what I have outside of Nikes that are high tops.
Yeah, I kind of found out the hard way that you like high tops. I didn't make the right sneaker choice one night, and found out the hard way that you like high tops better.
You mean when you was out here visiting?
Yeah, yeah, when we were over at Atmos, yeah.
Oh, that's right. What did you wear again?
The contacts. I had on the Travis Lowe's, the reverse mochas.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. The sneaker battle.
Yep, yep.
That was
And
that was a good time actually at Atmos.
yeah, that was a good time for sure. And I actually didn't bring any high tops because I didn't pack a lot. And I should have I should have brought the Travis Fragment
Mm-hmm.
high tops, and then I think I may have gotten your boat then. I'm not really sure. So maybe let's put that to rest now. So it was the OG Travis highs, and if I had on the new Travis highs, the Fragment collab, like what would have gotten your boat?
You would have won. You would have won. You would have
Oh,
won.
okay. All right, you just make
But
me feel
remember what
good.
happened. I mean, she got you in and then downvoted you. I recall. Round one, she said, nope, back out.
I
Who invited him?
passed the first round. No.
No, I didn't get past the first round because and I think it was strategic. They put the Travis Lowe's against the Travis highs. I mean, it makes sense, right? So
Right.
I mean, but it's OG over everything, right? So I wasn't offended at all. I would have voted for the OGs as well.
I think they did a good job with selecting who was going to battle.
Yeah,
Right? Like it was like equal heat in a sense, you know.
absolutely.
So that was good because they've done another one before when I hosted a cleaning exhibition there, and it was kind of like, hey, you and you come here, and it was just like completely like blown out the box. So at least you didn't get smoked.
Right. I didn't get smoked. Yeah. So, but it was fun though. It was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good time. So we have a segment of the show called the freestyle segment, and what that does, it kind of gets us to a point to where we can actually start learning about the local sneaker culture there in the area in which you live. So specifically now in DC is what we're talking about. So we'll move into that segment and we'll try to kind of get it a little bit more of an idea of like what drives the culture there in the DC area.
Mm.
So the first one is, what shoe or clothing brand do you see driving the culture in DC? And you can kind of split that into like a two-part if you want, for clothing versus sneakers, or if you see an overlap.
So with sneakers, definitely New Balance.
Okay.
Out here. We get so many New Balance to clean, and not just like the 990s, some of the collabs, and just regular like running and walking sneaker as well. DC is huge with the health lifestyle. So you get a lot of runners, you get a lot of bikers out here. And so, yeah, we get all types of New Balance, but New Balance definitely has been leading out here for me in DC.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
We just had a conversation about that, a panel discussion in Baltimore that we talked about who actually, between Baltimore and DC, who's actually been keeping New Balance alive.
Oh, wow.
He's the one that won that discussion.
Yeah,
Who did that board consist of?
I'm sorry?
Who did that board consist of during that discussion?
There was a few people from Baltimore, a few people that live in Baltimore, a few natives, DC natives. It was a little bit unbalanced as far as more like DC, but yeah, I mean it's known that DC has just 990s out here. The second one would be Foamposites. Like,
yeah,
I have not
okay.
Anywhere I go, I haven't, like, I remember I went before we opened the Footage Society location. We ended up going all around the country, just looking at different sneaker shops, trying to figure out like, what do we want to do? What do we want to bring in? What do we like? What we don't like? And also shop. And we were finding Foamposites in San Diego that was super cheap because nobody is getting out there.
right.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an East Coast, definitely DC thing as well. So definitely in the DMV area, you find more DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I've seen more Foamposites out here than anything.
Yeah, the phones are huge, and the penny that's dropping next year, like I'm going to go after that real strong. That'll be my first Foamposite. I don't think I've ever owned a Foamposite.
Mm.
That's what
Oh,
I just got the mirrored ones from when the whatchamacallit All-Star game was in New York City.
So you only got one pair?
I only got that one pair, but a size 15 foam, you look like you're walking on a card. So like it's hard for me to pull off. So one's good enough for me.
Yeah, so I'm in the GS sign.
Yeah.
So our Foamposites, they did a dirty.
Mm.
Like the top of it, it looks like a baby shoe.
Wow.
So yeah. He wear, do you wear size 15, right?
Greg?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Mo was asking.
some things are 14, some things are 15. So like foams I went with 15s, like 8s I'll go with 15s, but primarily everything else is 14s.
Yeah. So some I don't buy as many foams because of the shape of them.
Yeah.
Few that I won, like the Gone Fishing, I won those. I don't know why. I just love the colorway on those. But yeah, they be doing us dirty sometimes with foams. So I don't think if your foot is too small and too big, we're
just out of the foam game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully I can land that pair next year, and I'll give them a try, give them a shot. So like in DC, is the culture, is it close knit, or is it kind of separated with a lot of subcultures, or how does the culture there for the sneakers work for DC?
Ooh, it's a mix. So I've been really dabbling in the DC culture since I started the business, right? So I've been more present here full time, almost going on 2 years, and there's like an old school DC culture in the sneaker game that they used to do, which one of them is one of my clients here, but they used to do sneaker battles and sneaker conventions before SneakerCon became a thing.
Okay.
And hip hop was a huge thing out here as well. And then you had the Dope Boys, that was a huge thing out here as well. So all of that really kept the sneaker culture alive out here. But now you have like this new wave of people, right, that are coming in, either migrating transplants from other places, or those that are just starting to get into sneakers. So you have that culture of they're looking to be educated on the sneaker culture or trying to be plugged into certain events, things of that nature. I would say as far as the sneaker boutiques out here, so we have Atmos, we have Somewhere, we have Armanier, which I always kill their name, sorry. But those sneaker boutiques tend to be very close-knit. So like Atmos did a special on us. The owners for the other shops, they actually come in here. They have come in to get their sneakers clean. They know us, we know them, you know. So that aspect is very knit. But then you have like that secret society of the OGs that were here in the 90s that are also intertwined into fashion and music. And so that's a whole nother level of unity, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, it's just one of those kind of things that I think probably most metropolitan cities you would have something very similar, but then there will be some of those things that are kind of unique and specific to certain spots. Like DC, I'm pretty sure has a little bit different culture than New York, and there are certain areas where maybe the sneaker game is a little bit older, and some places that the sneaker game is probably a little bit newer to that area, and then people probably kind of band together a little bit closer. So I can see why some of the older sneakerheads in DC will probably kind of have their own little, you know, back room where you got to have a secret password to get in, but they still come out and mingle with everybody else, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're also established, they're also creators, business owners, as well. So that's another layer to the culture here in DC. I believe there was a study that was reported not too long ago, and they was talking about how DC, for the ratio and the size of it, has like the most or second most of top 5 of small business and Black small business owners. So that's also another circle as well, and a lot of those people are those that I was referring to, like the OGs from DC, natives.
Okay.
So now you both are from a city where like SneakerCon will come in. Do you see a whole different crowd come out that way, or do you see the general on top of the community? Like, is it a lot of people coming in town and all of a sudden the game changes, or do you still see that kind of the roots there holding down like our vision of like what we see when I come to visit?
So they was just down here last month?
Yeah. Yep.
Last month. As far as the guests are concerned, like there's a lot of out of towners that come, but I don't think it's that it was as big as the one before everything shut down.
Oh yeah.
That one for me was way bigger. SneakerCon for me this year was a little bit, I kind of was like, am I a Complex Con or Con? It gave me a little bit of Complex Con kind of vibes, which honestly, if I would have known that, I probably would have rented that day, at least one day, because I could have done an actual setup, since our seating is not like a kiosk, it's a more premier service. So, premium service. So I would have done something like that. But yeah, I actually go to SneakerCon to just meet people to socialize, really. Socialize, network, see people that I haven't really seen as often, meet people that, I follow me on Instagram. So I use it more for that. I don't know. What do you see over there, Gabe?
Yeah, I kind of see the same thing. And we had a SneakerCon maybe, a month or two before the DC one. And it was much different than 2021. Like you could tell there was like a different energy, which wasn't necessarily a positive thing. Like it kind of trended in an opposite direction than where we wanted to go. So I think that, I'm hoping that that's also being noticed by the people that are putting it on, because I think everybody loves the event. And I traveled to DC to the SneakerCon primarily to meet people, right? So I came there specifically to meet people, and the SneakerCon was just, another reason to be there. So, but I found what you talked about in regards to in DC, I found the same thing specifically this year for Atlanta.
Yeah, what I did like was there was a lot of small business like brands and fashion that was out. So that was actually really cool. And I'm more into the vintage world. So I was able to find like the Love SBs, the Valentine SBs. So there's somebody that I've been following. We've been following each other for a while. He actually traveled, and I was able to see his stuff in person. So now I can be like, okay, I can actually buy from you, right? If I'm buying from someone on IG, like I would trust his sneakers. So it did also it gave me that opportunity as well. But yeah, it's outside of that, it was just kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't even know who was on the panels this year. Like, that's another thing too. Anyway, we could go down that road, but just having local people represent whatever cities they're going to will be so great, because you would get, I believe, more people to come out.
Absolutely, and I think that that's the same feedback that we've gotten for SneakerCon for a lot of different places, is that the people that they have on panels are not unique to that area, and local people will come out and support those folks if they knew that those people were on those panels. But to have someone from California be on a panel for Atlanta as the primary person on the panel probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have them on that panel, but you also have to make sure that those people that are driving the culture in that city are part of those discussions.
Agree.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, hype seems to drive everything these days, right? So everybody jumps on the hype train, and I do too. Like, I mean, it's human nature. But like in DC, is it a thing to where people are all about the hype, or do they pretty much stay true to what their style and the sneaker culture and those things that they're rocking every day? Do they tend to stay true to that, or do they jump on the bandwagon of what the next trend is?
I would say it's a mixture, to be honest with you. I do see a lot of gems outside, though. Like, I see a lot of gems. What I love about DC too is that the age range, as well as the cultures that are rocking sneakers out here, I see it to be very diverse. Okay. And so I actually do like that. It just connects different people, like even today I took an Uber. It was a Korean guy. He was like, I like your sneakers. And then we started talking sneakers, and, and he's been collecting for a long time. So there's a lot of low key people that are rocking, sneakers. I see a lot of the hype on like business folks that are wearing suits and dressing up to work, and then they'll put like some hype stuff on their feet to go to work. And I guess that's what I would do when I also go to work. When I'm working with the Mystics, so I'm working with, Atmos and stuff like that, I would rock my hype. But there's a lot of newcomers, I would say. Mm-hmm. And I see it a lot with fashion, like a lot of women with like flowy dresses with some Adidas on. Or, it's not even just ones. Like I'm seeing a more diverse range than what I have in my collection, actually.
Okay.
But there's always hype, like people are always going for the hype. People always want to be, but yeah.
That was similar. We when we were down there at CVS, we were going to buy masks to get in an Uber, and some lady was there with her daughter, and she was a sneakerhead, and we like filled her in about SneakerCon, and it was she had no idea what was going on, but it was really funny. She just like turned the corner, saw Gabe's like fragments, and then I don't remember what I was wearing that day, but it struck up a conversation like that, and she was like an old time collector, and it was just like her daughter was embarrassed. It was just really funny. It was a good conversation though.
About how old you is or was?
She's probably late 30s, right? That lady?
Yeah.
She was late 30s, and she had on a pair of I forgot the shoes she had on.
The Soulfly Lows, I think, that
Soulfly
black and like cheetah print and the red.
Red, yeah, that's right. Yeah, but it was funny though because she actually started having a conversation about her whole sneaker thing, right? And how she felt about sneakers. And, she said, well, listen, I didn't really intend on wearing these, but now that I worn them, I got to put them away because, I'm done with them. I worn them one time. I'm going to like put them away and like wear something else. And, I was like, no, you got to wear your sneakers. Like just one time is not going to do it. But you can tell that she was probably one of those people that, especially if it was something that was quote unquote hype, she didn't want to put creases in it. She didn't want to get it dirty. So she pretty much said, hey, I got one wear out of it and now I'm done. So, and I'm the total opposite. Like, I don't wear the same shoe every day, but I don't care if my shoes get dirty. I know where I got to send them if they do get dirty, right?
That's it. We missed an opportunity to plug Nicole's shop, too.
Right.
We need business cards so we could just hand them out when we're in town.
It's funny because when we opened up here, there was a guy that came in with some Air Maxes, and I forgot which ones they were, but because it was like last year, and he was like, I'm so glad that you're open now. I can actually wear my sneakers. I was like, what? So or I get, and actually I'm gonna go back to the hype question, because we have those local shops, and we also have DTLR that does a lot of collabs with New Balance. This is kind of like you're going to get hype around here, right? Because they give special releases, they got collabs and things of that nature. So that might be something that also generates the hype culture over here. And then I think somebody asked the question of, do we think it's generated by money, finances, or age? Being a hype. I was like,
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that, for me, like looking at it, I think all three of those kind of drive it. I mean, some people can't afford to get certain shoes, and especially if they don't get them for retail. So, the money is going to play a factor into, and I should be letting you answer this question, right? But the money is going to play a role into what they can put their hands on. But I'm an older dude, right? So I'm just as into collabs and Travis Scotts and things like that as anybody else, right? I don't just, look at the retros and say that I got to stick to that, even though the retros is what drive my passion towards the sneakers. But at the same time, I'm personally into everything. Like, I just like the sneakers, but for me also though, aesthetically, the sneaker has to do something for me. Like, I'm not going to wear a sneaker just because it has somebody's name on it. And if it doesn't aesthetically, connect with me, then I'm not going to wear that sneaker. I'm not even going to try to buy it.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm the same way. I actually probably have purchased maybe 3 sneakers this year, because it's so much like, I need to figure out, like, I want to focus my collection, right? Like, I don't want to buy every colorway, every collab. I don't know the story behind the collabs, but it's just, now it's a collab, so now I want to get it. They're coming out with so many different colorways now that it's just like, I'm just a little bit over it. So I've been just buying old stuff that I've had on my list. But as far as like new sneakers, I've only picked up like 3 this year.
Wow.
If that. Just. And again, I got tons of sneakers. So it's like, if I'm not going through these sneakers and rocking them, then yeah.
It's funny too, because lately I'll do the same thing. Like, if I miss on a couple, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go after something that's been on my list for a couple of years. And I'm like seeing like shoes from like 2016, like before like this like initial culture shock really kicked off. They're so cheap. Like, you can get them for such a steal compared to like something that dropped maybe like 2 weeks ago, but you couldn't get your hands on. Like, it's funny, just like the pricing and like where the market is really focused right now for like resellers, because this old stuff is just like sitting.
Yeah, I agree. Especially if they're like ones or like SBs, or like something that that they're going to last and not crumble. So sorry, I should put my phone on not disturb. But yeah, I would definitely pick those up.
Gotcha. And then our last question for you is, what do you envision the culture for DC to look like in the next like 3 to 5 years in regards to sneaker trends and fashion and just all around, like, I guess, shops collaborating and getting along, I guess I want to say.
In 5 years from now, the sneaker culture.
Yeah.
There are sneaker boutiques that are popping up like all the time out here now. Like, I remember when we had open up our shop in 2015, the Footage Society one.
Yeah.
You couldn't find. They had one shop in Georgetown, a resale shop, sneaker boutique. I think that's probably it. Oh, they had one like Southern Maryland. But that was it. You couldn't find, none of these boutiques were open. So now you probably every 15 miles kind of get shops that are just open up and popping up. And that's what, almost 7 years?
Yeah.
So So I can only imagine how it's gonna be in like 5 years. Like, is it gonna be like a mini New York where there's sneakers everywhere? Um, you know, Nike now is coming also. They're putting another Nike town out here as well. Yeah, so I'm just, it's definitely about to boom.
Yeah, yeah. And
But
Nike, they're
getting relaxed now, and people wearing sneakers. Now you got famous people wearing sneakers, rocking sneakers. So they take a picture of it. It's just, yeah. I just see a whole bunch of more fakes coming.
Yeah, definitely no shortage of those.
yeah, it looks like 234 Life Collection says sneaker culture will be worse today because of everybody and their mother being a reseller. Um, you know, and I think that what's been trending over the last couple months is that the resale business has been slowing down. Like I've seen it to where those resellers that have been doing it for a long time, who are actually in it for the culture, that they've actually kind of made carved the path or a stake into the culture, and people know that they're actually trying to get the shoes to the right people. I think those resellers will last, but the ones that are just buying the sneakers just to flip them and sell them, and they're just trying to make a quick buck, a lot of those guys or gals or whoever, they will probably fall off a little bit just because they're not going to be able to hold a sneaker for a year to sell it. You know, they're trying to get the quick money, and they're going to see that it's not going to be as lucrative as it was during the pandemic and after the last dance, because things are starting to kind of reset a little bit. Now how long it's going to reset and how long it's going to level out, and shoes are going to set on shelves, we don't know. But for right now, for buyers, it's a buyer's market, and it's
Yeah.
actually kind of righted itself a little bit. So hopefully it stays like that for a while, because when you have a situation where even the least favorite GR, you can't even hit on it on a raffle, that's just ridiculous. So hopefully we'll stay in the space that we're in for a little while.
Yeah, yeah. There was something that you said that I was gonna piggyback off, but well, yeah. I mean, my shop had suffered too, with all these other shops opening, right?
Yep.
So it didn't necessarily create a competition. It kind of just hurt the small business, and everybody's also always like, oh, there's money for everybody. I mean, they have a McDonald's and a Burger King right across from each other. And I'm like, yeah, but we don't got that marketing money, right?
Yeah.
Like, we ain't on the news
A
all the
billion-dollar corporation, yeah, a little bit different.
time. Exactly. We can't compare that. Like, I went to South Carolina. Was it South Carolina? I had traveled and went to a sneaker shop, and the owners ended up splitting, and they had a shop maybe like 2 miles away from each other. And the same shoe they had the same shoe, and it was like a $10 difference.
Wow.
And it's like that, and that kind of like was like, it's kind of like it's fucked up.
Right.
But yeah, so it's the same thing here. It's just like, and in DC, rent is expensive. So I feel like it makes you, now you want to do a sale. I'm talking about from the shop aspect. And you can't necessarily just to survive, and you can't necessarily just enjoy what it is that, enjoy your business per se.
Right.
And that's why I chose intentionally to get a sneaker laundry as opposed to another sneaker shop in DC. Just to get out of that aspect. And then, yeah, it's just, it's interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's and to comment on that, I think a lot of the resellers now that we were just talking about that are skimming $10 off the top, like that phase is going to kind of clear out, and where the market's resetting now, I think a lot of people are sitting stuck on like that heritage, that purple and yellow Jordan one that just sat. We're starting to see Jordans actually sit now. So I think that's going to get rid of and eliminate a lot of these people that were like, oh, I'm a reseller now. And it's going to be a wake-up call, and they're just going to kind of have to cut their losses and keep it going. But at the same time, we need shops. any real sneakerhead needs a shop. We need actual resellers too. So that market's always up and down, and hopefully the shop is doing a lot better now. But yeah, even with COVID, I know you were able to keep open, right? So you had that unique situation of a laundry.
That's what kept
Yeah.
Footage Society open.
Yep.
Was the sneaker laundry, because the laundry was considered to be an essential business.
Nice.
And so that was actually a blessing. Actually, the mayor of the city called and was like, "Why are you guys closed?" And I was like, "Aren't we supposed to be closed?" But the thing is,
There's a thing called COVID, you know.
and even between that, all the other stuff like the Black Lives Matter, like all the protests that went into that, like it was a lot of things that happened over those years. That also affected shops as well. But yeah, I don't know where the, like, we talk about, there's a big difference. Like we talk about resellers, and then we also talk about a resale shop, right? And what people also consider to be a consignment. And I mean, I'm thankful for shops like ours because I've been able to get things that I have not been able to get before. You know what I'm saying? So I know a lot of people talk about the whole resellers and resell this, and it's like, yeah, resale shops are also the same thing. But you could get a sneaker way below, you know, below retail, like that, you know, at a good, decent price. But we also have overhead, right, that we also have to pay for. Yeah, so salaries. So, but yeah, there's a lot of shops popping up. Like I'm losing track of them.
Wow.
And it's funny because I've always heard that argument of like the mom and pop shops having that overhead cost. So like the prices are going to be a little bit higher, but then you turn around, you look at StockX, you look at GOAT, you got processing fees, you got all these other shipping and handling, and you don't even get to see the shoe. At least in the mom and pop shop, you can hold it in hand. You see exactly what you're getting. There's no surprises. And people argue with that, and then they'll turn around that your prices are too high. Oh, I got this for $120, but then now you're paying $205 after taxes and everything.
Right. Absolutely. And that's why I'm into used sneakers too, to be honest with you. A lot of people kind of frown upon that. But I'm definitely up for the upcycling of sneakers. Hence why I am, you know, in a sneaker cleaning industry. So I grew up with hand-me-downs. Like that was, you know, not hand-me-downs, but I say, but I could wear my sister's clothes, my brother's, you know, whatever, my sister's sneakers. So for me, this is what I'm doing now is kind of the same thing. So, and just kind of waking up the culture to understand like, hey, you could actually, you know, it's good to actually have and purchase used sneakers. And you get it's a big savings as well.
Absolutely. And I think more people are receptive of that. They're open to it, especially with shops like yours that are available to them because they can buy that sneaker, they can send it to you, you know, you can clean it inside and out, you know, you can kind of almost make that sneaker, you know, to the point to where it didn't feel like anybody else wore it. So I think that those options that people have now are more plentiful. So buying, you know, pre-used shoes or pre-owned shoes is a big thing.
Yeah, and honestly, there's some shoes like some like 3s, 4s, and 5s. I hate breaking them in. So if somebody else break them in for me, I'm like, we good. Like,
you did all the work.
Yeah.
Now, like, have you ever considered like on eBay, like just finding those steals and then cleaning them up in the shop and selling them through there, like through the downtown location, or?
So the Footage Society side, even though we're very connected, the Footage Society side, we don't restore any of the sneakers that we sell.
Okay. And
the cleaning has to be like at the 9 out of 10 condition, unless it's like some super heat that we got for like a super steal that we're going to be able to sell for a steal. But we don't, we just do a light cleaning and disinfect on any used sneakers. Um, that's all. We don't sell anything that we restore. So I do have a lot of clients that go to thrift stores or eBay and get beaters, bring it over to us, a lot of time in bulk, and then we work on them for them to resell.
Okay.
Yep. So they all have like eBay accounts and stuff like that, and they sell in those markets.
Nice.
And I would say a lot of them are not sneaker. Like, I hate saying sneakerhead, but we're just gonna use that just for the content of the show.
Yeah.
But they're not sneakerheads. They just saw a profit.
Gotcha. Yeah, you were mentioning that you would like people to break in some of the sneakers for you, especially the ones that are a little bit harder. And I'm like the total opposite. I was telling somebody earlier that if I go into like a Foot Locker or something and it's a shoe that I really, really wanted and it's the last pair in my size that they have, but somebody tried it on, I won't buy it. It's the weirdest thing, but it's just something about knowing that somebody else's foot was in that shoe. Like I'll pass.
So are you the same way? Like, do you buy used cars?
I have a couple times. So pre-owned used, I'm good with that. You know, you take it to get it detailed. You got the extended warranty on it.
I can detail your sneaker.
That's the same thing.
No doubt. But see, now that I know you, I know what I got to do now. So if it's something that I really, really want, we're just going to box it up, you know, send me the address. I put a label on it and we'll make sure it gets into your hands.
Yeah, I mean, or clothes. Like somebody probably tried on the shirt that you got on right now.
Mm-mm.
Oh, don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. This man will be cleaning through his house.
No. Nobody. Actually, this is a custom made shirt. I actually had it made. It's a cut and sew piece. So I had this one shipped from overseas to me. But they could have tried it on. They could have tried it on there, though. You're right. But I checked for deodorant stains before I put it on.
You got him going through his closet after the live now, just searching everything.
Right.
No, but I know a lot of people that are not into.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I that's the first time. Like if somebody at least tried the shoe on, you know, you still wouldn't purchase it.
No, won't do it.
I haven't heard that, but I know a lot of people that won't buy used sneakers. And I get it.
I tend not to. I try to keep it like I'm maybe like 8 out of 10 and up is like the only thing I can buy. Like if I see creases in it, I can't do it. I'm just like, it already just looks, it's too beaten for me, honestly. People will be like worn once and then you see it and you're like, what did you do? Like you walked across 3 states in those. Like that's exactly what you did once if you wore those.
Yeah, I got the top 3s and those are probably the most beat that I've got. And they were a half a size smaller.
Mm.
So the fact that they were so beat, I was able to rock them. Okay. They were like a half a size or a whole size smaller. They was small. But the fact that they were so beat up, I was able now to wear them, you know? And at that time, I think the top 3s were going for maybe like 600.
Yeah.
And I traded
they jumped.
My bread ones, I traded them in because they were too small. So yeah. So the top 3s are the ones those are probably my most beat up shoes.
Gotcha.
Well, we have a segment of the show called the Shoe Tree, and what that is that, you know, as we weave across the country and talk to people about what's going on locally, we know that at some point we got to revisit DC, right? Like we got to come back to DC. We got to, you know, make sure that we continue to talk about the culture and everything that's happening there. Is there anyone specific that you would recommend that we, you know, would want to talk to and have on the show to continue the conversation about DC once we circle back around?
Oh, actually, Jacob. Y'all met Jacob.
Absolutely.
They used to with Atmos.
Yeah.
I mean, he heavily works, you know, has a relationship with them, but Jacob would be a good one. I think Jacob has a younger view, and he did a lot of work to highlight DC businesses and stuff like that through the lens of of Atmos. And also he is also into the street, like basketball and streetwear as well. So I think he'll be a good you guys to have on to represent DC.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. He's heavily connected, and he has a pretty big footprint there in the area.
He does.
I could tell. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And to be young as well, right? Like to be that young. So yeah, he's actually now going to Under Armour. So that would be a interesting conversation to have with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because Under Armour started in Maryland, right? I think that's where they kicked off.
Baltimore.
Okay.
Yep. And that's another thing too when we talk about fashion. Like Under Armour has never made it into made it into like the sneaker culture in a sense, right? And they're here in. I mean, do you own any Under Armours?
No, I own a pair of Under Armour shorts, but that's probably about it. No shoes though. No shoes.
I don't got shoes or clothes. I literally have nothing Under Armour.
Yeah, and they're here. So I did a fashion show years ago in Baltimore, or was part of the Fashion Week in Baltimore. And what I did was created kind of different looks and religions and cultures with sneakers. Like I had Muslims, I had, and then everybody kind of rocking sneakers, kind of saying that anybody could rock sneakers. And there was a representative from Under Armour there, and they was like, I'm trying to figure out why we wasn't involved in this, and we're here locally. And I was like, yeah.
He should already know, right? He should be able to answer that question for himself.
Yeah.
So, but
they have a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the same thing that happened with New Balance. I mean, they wasn't really into the street aspect, and I mean, they was able to break through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, they can do it. I mean, they have some big backing with Curry and with The Rock, that are kind of super specific, but somebody like Jacob can really help them open up their world in regards to how to recognize what people like and the things and styles that they should put out there for people to get into. So I'm very happy for him. That's a major move.
Yeah, that's a huge move. He's been with Atmos for a few years now. So I love Atmos. Is like from the other boutiques that are out here, probably one of my favorites. Like they're super welcoming, the customer service, they recognize you, they know who you are, they're very in tune with the community. Somewhere is as well. But we've worked more with Atmos. Just highlighted, like a small business like ours was pretty dope.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. The events were fun too. So
yeah.
Got to make sure we get that pass still in there. Got to keep that connection.
So what?
So we got to keep that connection there.
Yeah.
Get part of the next one.
Love. So yeah. And Diamond, the project manager, he had to shop when she traveled to the other Atmos offices or stores. They knew her there, like they knew her in Philly. It was like so wash,
wow.
So yeah, the employees. So they're pretty close knit.
Nice,
good,
right.
Absolutely. Well, that was all the questions we had. Is there anything else that we didn't touch base on that you want to expand on?
So I know we didn't talk too much about fashion because I'm more into the vintage or like small business. So like this shirt that I have on is a local person in the DMV area. It says Side Hustle.
Okay.
But so I'm more into the small businesses, supporting those and vintage clothing. But there is definitely a lot of movement out here with the fashion as well, especially in DC. So, and a lot of those are actually driven through some of the sneaker shops and collabing with that aspect and being exposed through the sneaker shops that are out here. So there's always events out here, fashion wise, and there's a lot of brands. There's a lot of local people that have been picked up by sneaker shops. So now they're selling their items there. Which guy named Eat, and he's in DTLR real heavy right now. Or that actually happened a while back. We have the museum, so it's a lot of Black minority-owned clothing brands that are starting to really make it out of the DMV area. So I'm excited to see that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, I think that the vintage is a major thing. Like, even a lot of the younger people are getting into the vintage a little bit, and they have a lot of IG pages and other pages where they do thrift shopping and stuff like that. But the vintage is awesome because I'm kind of like a pack rat, right? So I can go back and pull clothes that I wore in the '90s. It's just stuff that somebody would recognize it. Like I wore a sweatshirt, a hoodie one time, and someone recognized what it was, and they actually talked about who made it and stuff like that. And they were a young person, so not that I'm old, I'm older, I'm not old, but for them to recognize, the importance of what that was, it made me feel good about, what they're really focusing on. It's not all hype. Some people are focusing in on, craftsmanship and, some of the unique styles and patterns and things like that are out there with some of the vintage clothing. So I think for you to bring that up, it's awesome. And, I watch your style. Your style, it takes you back there, right? It puts you in a place to where, it almost like I know that you feel comfortable in what you're wearing. And it shows through how you wear it. And it obviously always shows through your personality, but it shows through how you wear it. And, so thank you for bringing that part up as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was that chick that was dressed really feminine with sneakers, and people were like, "You still wearing Jordans?" And now it's like so accepted, and it's like, right. Like before it's like, "Oh, you must be from New York because you got sneakers with a dress," And so now, like, is the thing now. But yeah, and I mean, vintage is expensive too. Like some vintage is very expensive.
Right.
I saw a DMX shirt before his passing, rest in peace, and it had the natural holes on the t-shirt. It was that concert shirt and tee, and that joint was like almost $600. I was like, faded. Like before we didn't wear nothing that was faded, like faded. Now it's like that's the thing,
right?
That's what support small businesses.
Down here we have it's called 84 Flea, and they have a bunch of like local like vintage resellers. Usually about like once every other month come down, and their shops, like we showed up there and we were like, yeah, maybe I could get a couple t-shirts. It was like $60-$75 on average for a t-shirt, and I was like, wow. All right, maybe I'll get one if I really, really like it. And I was just like, I didn't end up buying anything, but that was like a culture shock, I guess, for me. But it was like the same thing. You could see the community of like, they all knew each other. They were trading there, like trading shirts. And it was just, it's a whole nother culture. It's funny.
It is. It is. Like I know people that travel Midwest to just hit a whole bunch of vintage shops that have things that they don't even realize the cost of these things, right? From like vintage sneakers to clothing, or different collectibles and memorabilia, and that's another thing also that goes into, like in my shop, I have a lot. I've tried to get a lot of those things, but really, I mean, vintage, when you think about vintage and you think about sneakers or fashion and sneakers, I mean, all of that was what, the 90s, which really when, the hip hop and that culture was really, really, really starting to blow up. And so it only makes sense for me personally to go back to that era.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You guys need to download an app, estatesales.net. And if you guys are looking for vintage stuff without it being a resale price, there's some opportunities to just hit some estate sales, because there are people that have been living in houses for 40 years and all their kids' stuff still stay there. And when you can get on those apps and you can find them locally, but then you can find some things across the country as well that you can have shipped to you. So that might be an opportunity to kind of come up on some things for a pretty good price.
Yeah, one of the things too that I've been seeing more here in DC and the DMV area now is so many different looks, so many different styles now. Before I felt like, I know definitely in Maryland, in the area that I was in, like everybody kind of looked the same, but now it's like you're really seeing people expressing themselves through their fashion. including sneakers. So yeah, because you could tell a lot when you see a certain sneaker on someone. You're like, oh, okay, this person is into, they might possibly be into this.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely something now major that a lot of people, everybody has a different flow,
For
so
sure.
it's like, yeah, it's very colorful in that aspect right now.
Absolutely.
That's what. All right. Well, yeah, I just want to wrap everything up. I want to thank you for kicking off this adventure with us. Could not have chosen a more accomplished person to be on the first episode, so I really do appreciate it. And once again, if you're in the DC area, make sure you check out the Footage Society shop and also So Wash Sneaker Laundry. And if you're not already, make sure you hit that drop down and give Nicole a follow because you can keep up with everything she's got going on. It seems like every time I sign on an Instagram, which is daily, you're announcing some new collab, some new project. You're always doing something. So
Yeah,
definitely worth the follow. And thank you so much for always hosting me every time when we come into town. You don't miss a beat.
I sure don't. I'm like, hey, Greg, where we go?
What's the plan tonight?
Every time. So yeah, that's one thing about me. Like I really love the relationships that we have cultivated through Instagram or have initiated through Instagram. So when you guys are out in this area where I'm at, definitely hit me up. If I'm free or can become free or whatever. But yeah, no, definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you, Greg, for always coming out to all my events.
Oh, absolutely.
Out of the country. You was there for the grand opening. You're
Yep.
there at Footage Society. This time around out here. So I really appreciate all the support and the love that you show to me and my shop and my family,
Yeah.
as well. So thank you for that. And Greg, Gabe, thank you so much. It was nice hanging out with you. Now we know, we know each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you for my birthday gift.
For sure. For sure. For sure.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. I need to do more of these and just come out and show face a little bit more. Sometimes I get so bogged down in business and the stress and the great things that come out of that stress and great things.
Yeah.
And always trying to be creative to continue to push the message forward as far as us cleaning, restoring, as well as recycling sneakers. And having a place here for other business owners as well to excel, and hosting dope ass events. So the next event that we have going on is art all night. So that's gonna be at nighttime on the 23rd, and we're gonna have sneaker ice sculptures and stuff like that here. We're gonna have some art going on. So if you are out in this area, stop by, say hello. You could come in and just wrap up with us, or you could come in and support us. Either way, we're here for the culture. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you so much. This has been great. And thank everybody who joined the show to help us kick off this premiere episode of State Specific. Next week's guest is going to be PR Sneaks 23, who is going to
Hey.
allow us to come explore the culture down in Miami, or in Florida by way of Miami. So can't wait to have him on. Once again, as it's been stated, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for making this a great show. Thank you for all the conversation in the chat. We've noticed it. We've seen it. Thank you guys for interacting and being a great audience for us. And we hope to continue to grow this show and bring great content to you guys. Have a great night.
Thank you.